You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, we are fully in Libra season. It is full throttle Libra season at the utmost level, full of surprises, full of fun, full of good news. And I'm in my season. I'm in my moment. I feel the vibranium in my system calibrate me as a full-fledged Libra because this week is my birthday week. On Thursday, October 12th, I'll be turning 32. Wednesday is another special day, but I can't share that information at this moment. Freudian slip. But Thursday, I'm going to be 32 years old, and I'm looking forward to it. I love getting older. I think every year I can measure my level of growth, both personally and professionally, and I feel like I don't have to explain myself the older I get. Like, one, I think that as you get older, if you are consistent with your values and your principles, people begin to realize there's no change in this dude's mind, which is good because I don't have to waste my time explaining myself over and over again. But some of the things that I've learned on this journey this past year has been a year where I think I fully have unapologetically defended myself or stood up for myself, I would say. I've always stood up for myself, but I think this year I've been very just unapologetic about it and very certain about where I stand on things. I'm always learning new things, but I'm also in a space where I just don't feel the need to give levels of energy. I've seen myself throughout the year where there were parts of me that wanted to give a response or say something, and I just kind of was like, nah, I'm good. Nah. And there have been times where I've had to fully come out and let people know where they had me fucked up. Either way, I think the best thing about it is that I feel like I don't have this hesitancy anymore to overthink or analyze too much of the consequences of whatever the thing is that I'm doing. I think I've come to peace with the reality that for every decision I make, whether I like to make the decision or, it's one that I'm not necessarily as ecstatic for, decisions will be made and things will happen. And you just got to be prepared for whatever the outcome is going to be. I think that has been a theme of everything I've done this year. When I think about earlier in the spring, my feud with NABJ, yeah, it was public and it was unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I wasn't taking back anything that I had said because I was right. And history has proven that a lot of the things that I had foreshadowed that was going to come happened. And that the people that I thought were disingenuous and fake and phony, that also began to become true and to fruition and become real. A lot of stuff that I thought, I'm happy I stuck with my guts on. And even though it is sometimes a little sad at points of whatever the situation could be, to see people that you've been friends with for a long time, you separate with or break up with, you just have to say, hey, that rejection is protection. That closing that door brought me more. It's true. It's true. Closing that door brought me more. And that's life. And so I've embraced a lot of the things you can't control and have understood that, but also have been mindful to stick with my gut instinct about things when I'm informed, right? Because that's important. You need to be informed before you go left on something. But nonetheless, I'm grateful for that. And I'm happy to have that level of protection and, foresight and support. And so looking forward to turning 32 and continuing that journey and be able to embrace a lot of the opportunities on the other side of the door. So just want to put that out there. This is a very exciting week for so many reasons. that unfortunately I cannot share at the time. But, follow my social media as always, and you'll see how these things will sprinkle down the road. If you're listening to this episode, which I expect many of you will, because Monday, of course, as you all know, is Indigenous People Day, which means a lot of you all are off work. I'm not. I still have to teach at Cheney. Cheney does not acknowledge Indigenous Peoples Day, so I still have to show up and teach the students. The students don't have a day off either. Now, I don't know. I remember back in the day when Columbus had his day, everybody took school off. But now for Indigenous people, we're not taking school off. Now, Monday is reserved as a federal holiday at the banks and at certain city institutions. So there is an off day for my husband and others who are city employees and people that work with who observe Indigenous Peoples Day as a federal holiday. Cheney University is not one of those places. So I am teaching students. So while you're listening to this podcast, I'm most likely headed to Cheney or at Cheney teaching my lovely students if you are one of my, first listen to followers. So just want to put that out there. But nonetheless, last week, while you all listened to the first episode of October, which was last week, Monday, I was headed to LA and did an incredible book signing there. It was a lovely time. LA was so great to me. I was at USC, University of Southern California, my alma mater, where I got my lovely master's in communication management from. I was there. It was a really great time. LA is always a good time when I go. I saw one of my good friends, my good Judy's, Terrell Green. Now, some of y'all saw my Instagram, story post when I had mentioned that he is the ex-husband of a loser. His ex-husband is a gay state rep. He is the first husband because this man now has a second husband. A lot of y'all think the current husband is the first husband. No, baby, that's the second husband. I'm friends with the first husband. He is a Black gay state rep in Philadelphia. I'm not even going to say his name. You all could probably take a wild guess. But I'm really good friends with his ex-husband. I was friends with Terrell while they were married. And then when they split, Terrell and I maintained our friendship. Me and this person, not so much. But we maintained friends. Me and Terrell has maintained friends. I mean, literally, that breakup, that divorce, that whole situation led him to eventually make the decision that he needs to get out of the East Coast altogether. And he went to the West Coast. And he's now a proud USC alum. He went to Temple for undergrad, where he met his husband, his first husband, his ex-husband. But now he is at USC Annenberg. He just finished his master's. He's still in LA doing great things. And so me and my Trojan, my bestie, we caught up in LA. He went to my book signing, which was at the USC bookstore. It was a really great crowd that came out. Lots of love. All the Trojans, all the guests, fight on. It was fabulous. I went there, got to check out the campus again, see the dean. I did some promotional filming with USC Annenberg for their marketing, to get the kids to come out and, enroll and all that jazz. And, I love being a proud alum and being a celebrated alum by the campus, and the love I got at the book signing, for the book and just all of that stuff. All of it was awesome. So I'm very happy that people came out. There was lots of love on the social media. And I got to catch up with great people. And I stayed at the USC Hotel, which was pretty damn nice. It was a nice hotel. Oh my goodness. I was very surprised. It's next to campus. I come in there, they got the USC swag, the crest, everything branded all in the room. It felt good. It was a very good time all together. Loved it so much. When I got back to that tour, I landed in Philly. And when I got to Philly, after all those miles, I've officially landed diamond status on American Airlines. And this is great because I never was someone who collected miles and did all that stuff. But my agent was saying that, hey, we're booking these trips and everything like that. You need to just create an AA Advantage, American Airlines, an AA Advantage account to just track your miles. So anytime people are booking, just give them your code so they can put it in the system. So I didn't even know that's how it all worked, but I got the membership, which is free. You can just, if you ride American Airlines a lot, just go and create an AA Advantage membership. I did that. I got one of the credit cards. Which was dope because that also gave me, just getting the credit card alone gave me like 75,000 miles or something like that. And then just was doing the flights and keeping up with the flights. And every time people booked me for flights, I made sure I gave them my username or whatever the code name is. And that was accumulating my miles. And so, as I was traveling and doing my thing, I accumulated so many miles that got to diamond status. So there's gold, then there's platinum. So I'm over that, and I think I'm diamond or platinum. I think it's platinum pro, I think they call it, but they used to be called diamond. But I'm now a platinum pro. And what comes with that is the ability to now get upgrades faster. So I can get to first class. I can get upgrade to first class faster, which I've had the benefit of experiencing lately, where, I get a regular ticket, but because I am in this status, I get an automatic upgrade to first class if there's availability. And so I've been catching a lot of fun first class flights, which has been awesome, especially on a long flight like LA. LA was like 5 hours and 40 minutes to get there. I do nonstop. I don't do any stops, especially with the way transportation is nowadays. Those layaways, those stops and those multiple trips. If you can avoid them financially, please do. If you can, I get it, but try not to, because I think everyone I know who's had a problem with delays and flight issues are people who've gotten connector flights. It's not the people who's had the nonstop. Normally, if the nonstop's delayed, once you get your ass on that plane, you ain't worried about where you land because you're gonna land at your destination immediately. But those connector flight situations, that's when the trouble happens, I feel like, with delays, because you could get one flight that's on time, but then that connector flight coming in might be delayed. So then that messes up your whole travel pattern. So I have been really big on nonstop flights. I just can't do connector flights anymore. Avoid them if you can, because it's just a lot. But nonstop flights, on first class is great, because especially if you're doing like a nice flight that's like over 2 hours, because you can really take advantage of that open bar. Like, you really can get whatever you want on the flight. Like, you're like, oh, what can we get you, Mr. Owens? I'm like, oh, I'll start off. If it's in the morning, I'll be cute. I'll get a mimosa. But if it's like an afternoon situation, I'm going straight to sparkling. Then I'm going to work my way up to a vodka cranberry, and we're going to see where it happens there. Food, the nicest snacks. I mean, some of the snacks, and I've never seen those snacks before, are so elevated. Like, oh my goodness, they had like olives and all kind of stuff. But anyway, that one of the perks is I get to upgrade. I get a faster way to upgrade to first class, which is really good. So like the upgrade comes like 72 hours before the flight land. So if there's any vacancies before 3 days in advance, they will upgrade me to first class if there's a first class seat available 3 days before my flight, which is clutch. The second thing is I get to check in 3 bags without having to pay. So, I know a lot of people out here do carry-ons only. They don't want to check in their luggage because it's $30. Let me tell you something. I have shoes. I have blazers. I have really nice button-up shirts. I can't stuff that in a carry-on, ball that up, and smash that in one carry-on like that. I'm sorry. These clothes cost too much. This shit is too fucking nice for me to just smush everything on one carry-on like that and put it in the back seat. One of my back seat, or the plate. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I see people go on flights and they just come with these big on huge carry-ons, and they want to stuff the whole fucking thing in the plane. And I'm just looking at them like, you know what, yo, you should have just paid the $30, pay the $25, pay the $30 and put that in a suitcase and stop playing. Because that's how planes get overbooked and super heavy. And it's like, no, my carry-on that I bring with me is my large Telfar bag. I put my laptops in there. I put all my chargers in there. And that's about it. Clothes, stuff like that. I'm putting that in I'm gonna put that in the respective, place. Um, I get priority luggage situation, which I've learned to appreciate. So priority luggage is where you get this orange tag that they put on. So this is with first class or non-first class. Like if I don't do first class, I still get priority luggage where they put the orange tag. And so the orange tag is the first luggage that come out when they do the baggage claim. So when you get the baggage claim, the first pieces of luggage that come out is the first class luggage or priority luggage, which is that orange tag. Lately, because of all the traveling I've been doing, I when I get off of the plane and I go to baggage claim, I really hate the long wait of waiting for luggage. So when I see that my suitcase is the third or fourth or whatever it comes out, it's such a convenience. Like traveling for me is about in and out. I don't like to be at the airport too long. I don't like to do that long wait. That's why I have pre-check and clear, because honestly, my goal is to minimize the time I'm spending in the airport. The goal is to get my ass there, get on the plane. I've never in my life missed a flight. That's a wooden table. I've never missed a flight before, but what I love to do is cut the time as much as possible to cut close. Now, I don't like to be too close, but I like to cut it enough where I'm not in there all day. Because let me tell you what happens when I'm at the airport all day. If I'm spending too much time in the airport waiting or whatever for my flight, I spend money I don't need to spend. I buy dumb stuff. I go to the restaurant and the bar and do too much I don't do. I spend too much on crappy ass sandwiches. I just do too much when I'm at the airport too long. So I like to get in and get out. That is my strategy. That's always been my strategy for the past several months. Now I do get this Admirals Club situation now, which I'm going to test out and see. I don't have any major traveling until December, which is the holidays. So I go see my family in Houston. I'm going to go to a wedding the first week of December. My cousin Rachel is getting married in Detroit. And so I'm going to go to Detroit the first week of December for the wedding. But that's like a quick in and out situation. And then I'm going to Houston. And then that's it for now. Now, anything can happen. Somebody might hit me up and say, yo, we want you to come down for whatever. But as far as my book travel go, it's going to be light at this point. My heavy traveling, I did so much traveling in 1 month. This is just off the top. This is the most traveling I've done my entire life. I don't know if y'all have listened if you've listened to the podcast, you all know I hate traveling. Like I hate riding airplanes. I just hate traveling. But I must say this year, doing it so much and having the miles and getting the enthusiasm, it's been, I've gotten used to it now. It's like get on the plane. I think because I wasn't on the plane so much and I wasn't flying so much, there was like a hesitancy. Now I just lean into it. Like I used to always be nervous. Like I won't even take a flight on the plane maybe once or twice a year. Like for the past 5 years, my air travel has been maybe once or twice a year. I don't really do that. I wasn't doing that much air travel. This year, I mean, y'all see it. I think I've been on like 16 cities. I've traveled for the book tour, over 30 flights. Now that's back and forth, round trip. I've been on about 15 round trip flights this year. About 15. That's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, for me, I mean, as somebody who's not like, globe trotter, because that's, 15 round trip flights this year. I'm proud of myself. And I did it mostly for my book. So I put in some work for this book. I'm looking at it right now as I talk to you on the podcast. I put in some miles for this book. I really made sure that people from across the country got a chance to touch this, from the West Coast to the East Coast, from the South to the Midwest. I did my thing. So now this month, I have 2 more stops on the book tour. I'll be at Cheney University next Wednesday, actually. Next Wednesday, October 18th. I will be at Cheney University. If you want to go and check me out, the link is in the bio on my Twitter account and my Instagram account. Just click the link in the bio to RSVP. It's a free event, and there'll be food, games, book signing, book talk. I'll be in conversation with the legendary Miss Patty Jackson at WDAS, and we're going to have a good old time. I started this book tour with her, and I'm ending this book tour with her in a very cool, special way. And then the final event will be the following week, which will be on Tuesday, October 23rd. Yeah, Tuesday, October 23rd. Yep. Tuesday, October 23rd. I will be, well, 24th. Tuesday, October 24th. Let me get my dates right. I will be in conversation with Rider University. I'll be doing a book signing at Rider University in New Jersey. That's in Lawrenceville, which my good bestie Abel is from. He's from Lawrenceville, which is not too far from Trenton, New Jersey, where my husband is from. We'll be in conversation. The book is the conversation is how not to get canceled. Don't get canceled. And I'm talking to college students about cancel culture. So I'm super excited to end this national book tour on a very fun note with students and with youth. So I'm excited to go talk to college students about cancel culture and signing their copies of their books, which came in support with my team, Collective Speakers, and um, St. Martin's Press, which has been great, of course. And, working on B2. Y'all know what B2 means, book two. Yes, I am working on book two. So y'all don't have to ask me. Don't ask me what's about. But now I have to wrap up this tour so I can start getting in full production mode for book two. Yes, I'm working on book two. Can't tell you what it's about. What I will tell you is it's adult nonfiction. What I will tell you is it's on a very timely topic. And what I will tell you is that it's going to be a lot of fun. And stay tuned. That's all I can say for now. That's what that's what I'm allowed to say. I'm allowed to say that there is a book. And what I will also say is that it's not a sequel to the current topic. Okay. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Stay tuned. So, moving along, there's been a lot of stuff going on. I went to see Assassins at the Arden. That is that incredible Stephen Sondheim play from the late, great Stephen Sondheim, who did Into the Woods, which is one of my favorite musicals, and did so many other important musicals that have won Tonys and other great honors. So Assassins is a good show. People consider it one of his most seminal pieces of art. Assassins is subversive. It's still at the Arden Theater, but I want to give you the heads up that it's subversive in the sense that this show talks about assassins who assassinated presidents. Yes, or attempted to assassinate president. Only one, John Wilkes Booth, is who assassinated Abraham Lincoln. You have others who attempted assassinations, which is even more interesting. There's a lot of interesting aspect. It's a musical. It was very controversial for various reasons. I want to provide some context about some of the characters and people who are in it. So there's John Wilkes Booth, who tried to assassinate President Abraham Lincoln, well, who did assassinate Abraham Lincoln. There's Charles Guthrie, who assassinated James L. Garfield. There is Leon Caspos, who assassinated President William McKinley. Then there is Giuseppe Zangara, who attempted to assassinate President-elect FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated John F. Kennedy. Samuel Bike, who attempted to assassinate President Richard Nixon. Lynette Squeaky Fromm and Sarah Jane Moore, who both attempted to assassinate President Gerald Ford. John Hinckley Jr., who attempted to assassinate President Ronald Reagan. Those are the people that they talk about in this play. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 assassins, 9 assassins total, but for 8 presidents that were involved. So it's a very complicated musical. It might sound cringy, but it's very interesting. I've definitely have paid attention to a lot of the conversations around it. It originally came out on Broadway in 2004. It was, recognized. Well, it came out as Best Revival of a Musical, which it won in 2004. It originally came out in 1992, the London production. There was an off-Broadway production, which came out in 91. that got a lot of attention. Stephen Sondheim got a lot of popularity for it. There was a lot of interest, several Tony Award wins, lots of buzz. Yeah, highly recommended. I also saw this week with my bestie Jamarcus, we saw Mean Girls at the Kimmel Center. And it was at the Miller Theater we saw it. And we saw it on a Wednesday, which means if you watch Mean Girls, you know that on Wednesdays we wear pink. And we saw it on October 3rd, which is the day after October 2nd, which was, another important part of Mean Girls history. October 2nd is the day he looked at her. But yes, it was a fun musical. Tina Fey wrote the film, but also co-wrote the musical. It got tons, over a dozen Tony nominations, and won none of them iconically. But as a musical, it was fun. Lots of fun. They even, what I love about the Kimmel Center, we came with our cups. So y'all have asked me about these cups. Let me tell you about these cups. So Arden Theater has it as well, for those who don't know this. There are cocktail, not glasses, but these plastic containers that you can drink inside the theater. Now, we go green around here, Ernestly speaking, so we do not like to waste plastic. These cups, you can get them at Arden or Kimmel separately. If you get a drink there, right, you buy the drink at the original price. Now, the cost of the drink might be like $15 or something, right? But I get the big double liter, big, huge liter drink. Like, you want to get the big ass cup. You could get the small one. The small one is for like wine or beer, but you can get the big ass 17-ounce cup. And that one you can fill to the brink with the cocktail or drink. Now, here's the thing. If you get a drink there at Kimmel with the big ass cup that I'm talking about, and you know what these are. These are the plastic ones with the lids, so you won't spill anything at the theater. If you get one of those cups, if you bring it back and refill anytime you go to a show, you get $5 off the drink. This is a real serious deal. So Jamarcus and I go to musicals, I want to say like once a month. And so we went to Moulin Rouge with our big ass cups, got $5 off. We went to go see Mean Girls last week. We're going to go most likely see Wicked, either myself or Mr. Johnson. I don't know if Mr. Johnson likes Wicked. We'll see. But I'm going to go see Wicked next month in November, just letting y'all girls know. I went to go see The Lion King last month. The month before that, Jamarcus and I saw Moulin Rouge. Last month, Mr. Johnson and I saw Lion King. This month, Jamarcus and I saw Mean Girls. Next month, I'm going to go see Wicked. Now, I don't know if Mr. Johnson likes Wicked. I don't know if he's seen it. He wanted to see Lion King, which we saw. He liked. But I'm not sure if he likes Wicked. I'm going to try to see, because I would like him to come. But if not, of course, Jamarcus and I are going again, and we'll be having our big-ass 16-ounce cups there. Now, Arden does the same thing. For all of my people who love Arden, I love the Arden. I go see every show I can see. If I get a chance to go to an Arden show, which I go to all the time as well, they also have the big-ass cups, but they have their own with the labels, and it's labeled Arden Theater. So I go, and they have the red caps. Kimmel has the black caps. If you are an Arden person that go on a regular basis, you want to do that too. Their drinks are less expensive, but they do booze and things like that. But their drinks are less expensive, and they do $3 off. Listen, some of y'all might be listening to this and saying, Ernest, we don't care. Why does this matter? Let me tell you this. There are thespians listening to this podcast, and folks that like to get a good deal, and folks that like to go green, and folks that like discounts. And rather than you all DM me on Instagram and ask me these questions about these cups, I am now telling you what it is, so that you will go, save money, have a great time, and enjoy the show. But Mean Girls is really good. And I will say this about Mean Girls. Mean Girls is a very musical. And I know that sounds like, what? What do you mean? It's literally nothing but songs. Like, there's like 3 minutes of dialogue before a song breaks out. Now, some people might like their musicals where it's like, you know what? I like a song, but I like some good dialogue and some conversation. So, like, I think about The Color Purple. The Color Purple, has good dialogue, the musical. And there's some great acting scenes, some great dialogue. I think a Tina Turner musical, Tina, which was phenomenal. They had, they'll have the dialogue, and then they'll do the show. This is a musical where I feel like every single time I turn around, it was a song. There was a song. And it was a musical. And it's so funny. Jamarcus was like, everything is a song. And depending on how you feel about that, that could be a lot. So, for those who are debating whether they want to see it or not, just know that this is a musical. There is songs every 3 minutes. It's lots of singing. There's some good acting and some funny moments and some highlights. And it's a fun musical. And I do want to say that they do honor the spirit and the integrity of the film. So when you watch this, you're not watching a brand new show that is random. The songs go really well to tell the story that we all saw on the movie when it came out like over 10 years ago. Wow, that long ago? We're getting old. But yes, I just want to put that out there. Outside of Mean Girls, I went to the Wells Fargo Center to see the Flyers preseason game. The Lip Brothers and I went together. That was myself, Josh, George, and Gio. We went to the Flyers game, and it was lit. We were so happy. The Flyers won, which is always, a good time. It's always a good time to see the Flyers. We saw the Flyers earlier this year, but Gritty was in full throttle, which was exciting. Gritty was definitely having himself a good old time and really getting lit. Very, very fun. Very, very fun. We went to this restaurant called Adrian, which is a Steven Starr restaurant. It's the first Steven Starr restaurant to be at a sports venue arena of its kind. A lot of restaurants that you all know, Chicky and Pete's and them, are often at arenas and stadiums and stuff like that, whether it's the Link or whatever. But Steven Starr restaurants, you never expect a Steven Starr restaurant to be in an arena or at a sports venue. Adrian is the first one, and I was very impressed. Very, very good food. What's fun about Adrian is that it's a regular upscale cozy concept. It reminds me of Jones, but it has like other elements of Steven Starr within it. So like there's like an Italian element. There's also like a French element, like the recipe. So for those who like the French onion dip soup at Park, they have that same French onion dip soup at Adrian, which was very surprising. Lots of great seafood, really good oysters. They had a Union Forge vodka cocktail, which I have to say, Union Forge vodka has become my favorite local vodka in the city. Sorry, stateside. Sorry, girls. I just, Union Forge just do it for me. I just really, really like it. It's Pennsylvania. It's union made. Let's be clear. It's union made. It is family owned, and they've been making this since 1884. But recently, they have become the official vodka for the Philadelphia Flyers. And as a result, they made a really good Union Forge mule, which is basically, the vodka mule, at Adrian. And that mule, y'all, stellar. It's a great mule. It's a great Moscow mule, but we don't call it a Moscow mule. We call it a Union Forge mule, and it was very good. And the Union Forge vodka is super dope. So it's a pretty good product, pretty good vodka. I love my Tito's, but when I'm local, I like to support local. So Union Forge is my local vodka. So outside of that, the show was great. I look forward to going to another Flyers game. I know this sounds a little bougie, but I have been to more Flyers games than Eagles games. Maybe because I don't support CTE and concussions. I've been to more Flyers game than 76ers game. No shade to them, but, I just want to say that. I enjoy a good hockey game, y'all. I've been to about 2 or 3 hockey games this year. I like hockey games. I find them controlled fun. Meaning that when I'm sitting there, I see these men, arguably mostly white, they're going at each other with a hockey puck, but I don't got to worry about no one falling on me, nothing getting thrown at me, no one having a serious head concussion that can lead them to be a domestic abuser or be suicidal. I can just watch people play with helmets on and be safe. And you know what? A win is a win. I like to see a goal. I like it. I like what I see. Just my thing. Speaking of head concussions and madness, Piers Morgan and I were on air this week. This guy can't get enough of me. Listen, when the producers on the Piers Morgan Uncensored show hit me up, I chuckle because I'm just like, this man must be a masochist. He must be someone who just likes pain. He must like, me just giving him a hard time. He likes that. I think he goes to bed and I'm like, yes, Ernest, torture me. Tell me I'm not shit. Make my life a living hell. He loves it. I don't get it. I don't ask to be on the Piers Morgan show. I've never have. But I go on, and for whatever reason, it's good for the ratings, it's good for the views. You look at my appearances on the Piers Morgan show, over 100,000 on YouTube. The last one we did, the first one we did together was over 500,000 views on YouTube. Like, it's just a good win for everybody. We promote the book, people read the Case for Council Culture. I go on, we talk it out. But this recent episode was wild. First of all, I got in the tabloids for starters, which is a lot. But we had a conversation that included somebody who I thought I never was going to have to hear the light of a day of again. Tammy Lauren. Y'all remember Tammy Lauren? Tammy Lauren, who used to be a big old Fox News contributor, the one who ended up beefing with Candace Owens, no relation. The one who, gets into it all the time with folks. This is the Tammy Lauren who was going in about Jay-Z selling drugs back in the day, and the one who was getting entertained and getting finessed by Charlamagne the God. That Tammy Lauren, the young white girl who just had so much shit to say, her ass was the special guest alongside myself, and Pierce was hosting. And the conversation was about this Bambi remake that Disney is doing, because Disney loves them a good remake, don't they? Well, they're doing a remake on Bambi, and apparently there's been speculation and talk about, at one point in time, a discussion of whether or not they were going to scrap the scene where Bambi's mother gets killed by a hunter. Well, they were, Piers Morgan was on this whole anti-woke crusade about how wokeness is taking away our classics and yada, yada, yada. The far right, the conservatives love to have that conversation. So, I get on there and I'm just like, you guys are losing it. This is not a big deal. What's wrong with them doing that? Taking out a traumatic scene for children, is what's wrong with that? Tammy Lauren goes on this transphobic, homophobic diatribe about how, they're worried about this, but they're not protecting, kids from drag queens and drag shows and gay sex. And I just had to call her a homophobe and transphobe and just how stupid that sounded. And I'm sorry, but my face was not going to just sit there and look like that shit was okay. So even when she was talking, it looked like something stink. And what was stinking was what the fuck was coming out of her mouth. And so my facial expression showed that. And we had a good time. It was a good show, and it's fun to get on air and tell these bigots to stop bigoting. But it is what it is. And you all get a kick. You guys get a kick at how many times I'm on that show. I had to sip on that. It's just like, I just don't know how Tammy Lauren do it. That's all I gotta say. I just don't know why I don't know. And first, well, you all said it, not I, but you all said she didn't look familiar. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna drink my water. I'm gonna mind my business. But people in the comments said she didn't look familiar. I didn't realize it was her until I saw the caption. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. Um, no, not falling for it. I'm going to be quiet. I am moving on. Okay, Butcher Bar for brunch. I went and it was incredible. Butcher Bar has a very new all-inclusive brunch menu. And I need to say it that way because technically we cannot say bottomless. Bottomless brunches are quote unquote outlawed in Pennsylvania. But now there's new language that restaurants are doing to give you the same thing under a different context. Use your comprehension skills, people. It's an all-inclusive brunch, which means that for $48 per person, you can get an all-inclusive experience of various brunch cocktails, which includes at mimosas, specialty margaritas, and Bloody Marys, You could have an inclusive experience with those cocktails along one major entree and some fun starters at the beginning. This is a 48 per person brunch. Myself, Josh, his boyfriend, our good Judy Laura, and Mr. Johnson had a little brunch. We wanted to check it out and see what it was giving. It was giving, baby. It was good. 48 per person. Cute little brunch. Y'all trying to throw birthday parties. Y'all trying to do a little situation for y'all friends. That sound like a good little birthday brunch situation if you want to do a birthday brunch vibe. Or if you just want to have a group gathering or you just want to do brunch with friends, that might be the look, y'all. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, I might want to do something like that, like bring 10 of my friends out, or if any of my friends want to do like a little brunch gathering or birthday situation, that is a vibe. They got the big tables where you could really make an event out of it. It's lit at Butcher Bar. I haven't been in a minute, but back in the day, I used to do my New Year's Day like brunches there, and we used to do a brunch trog. And the brunch trog would be like it would be like about 10 to 8 people could eat it, and it was like this big trog of like food, like a bunch of things like quiches and bacon and sausage and hamburgers. It was wild. It was like a wild brunch spread. And they still do that. And they also do a dinner version of it that includes steaks and short ribs and things, like a little feast. And I saw a lot of that. So I'm thinking I might want to do something like that. Let y'all, I might check one out. I've done the brunch in the past, but this breakfast situation, this dinner situation, this feast of sorts, I think I want to do that with a crew. Like I want to get a crew to just come with me and we can eat and really do it big. So I'm thinking about something like that down the road to do with my friends. But the rest of you all, check out the brunch bar. That brunch was lit. Butcher Bar. And it's on Chestnut Street. Like, I want to say 18th and Chestnut, 19th and Chestnut. It's right there in Center City. You can't miss it. There's also Apricot Stone, BYOB, which I went this weekend. I had my lovely date night. You all saw those photos on my IG. Really loved it. I never been. But Apricot Stone is like a Mediterranean restaurant with Armenian food. Very familiar stuff. Baba ganoush, lots of kebabs, lots of really good kebabs. They got the fattoush salad, pita bread, hummus, grape leaves. Classic dishes. Y'all, that food, I gotta emphasize, was filling. Like I haven't left a restaurant like that. First of all, it's a BYOB, so you could bring your own wine. Mr. Johnson and I had a romantic dinner. It was so intimate. It was so cute. It's located in the heart of Fishtown, or I'm sorry, Northern Liberties. It's in Northern Liberties. Really cute, very intimate. They got indoor, outdoor eating. We went there for dinner around 7. Service was on point. The flow was on point. Listen, we did the 2 for $85. Not 85 per person. 85 for 2 people. Okay? And let me tell y'all something. We got a spread of appetizers. We got a very great serving of a main course. And it also came with dessert. And you could bring your own bottle. Yo, where are we doing that kind of good eating in Philadelphia at that kind of cost? That has that much food at that rate. Very intimate. You can make your reservations, tell them I sent you, and have a good ass time. They're on Instagram. It's fabulous. And I really highly recommend it. I was very impressed. A friend of mine had told me about it, and I kept saying, sometimes I get annoyed with y'all when y'all be sending me y'all restaurant recommendations. I'm like, y'all, I have a full schedule. I don't know what I can do. But because this was Indigenous Peoples Day weekend, there was a lot of flexibility in my schedule to go somewhere that was different. And so I said, let me just see what Apricot Stone is about. It looked like they got their shit together. They definitely had their shit together. The service was great. The hospitality was divine. The food was immaculate. It was a great affordable rate, and it was a BYOB at that. Go. Highly recommended. Seriously, 5 stars. Last but not least, before I get into hot topics, Black Influencer Happy Hour at Booker's, hosted my fave, my lit brother, Josh Eats Philly. The Lit Brothers was a part of this lovely event. We were part of it. We were at Booker's. It was fabulous. Now, this event was for Black influencers specifically. So there were people that looked at this and said, I'm Black, why wasn't I there? Baby, are you an influencer? Do you have more than 5,000 followers? Sit the fuck down. I'm joking. It was an influencer event for the Black influencers in Philadelphia. Many of them are lifestyle and food people. And we invited the top Black influencers that we liked, okay? Because we don't got time for no sass in the city. I said sass in the city, not another name. We got time for no sass in the city. We need to do business. We need to have real people there, people that are respectful, kind, mature, and also know that they're black, because some people out here don't know what they are, and that's their problem. But this was a black influence event that was focused on black creativity and black social media influencing around food. And this was a great event. A lot of great people came out. Lots of folks. I can't remember everybody who came, but the Lit Brothers were there. Oh, Fueled on Philly, and Full on Philly was there. Sean from Jersey was there. We had a lot of great influencers that was there. Just full of love, full of positivity. Oh, my fave, Amanda St. Paul was there. You know, she's a great food influencer. A lot of the black food influencers from Jersey to Philly were there. It was packed. It was lit. Shout out to Maker's Mark, who was the liquor sponsor. They made these great influencer themed cocktails that were just on top of the world. Like, I was like, I didn't know you could do that with whiskey. And they gave out incredible gift bags with Maker's Mark swag, which I'm in love with. I have my Maker's Mark Moscow Mule tin mug, which was there, and they gave us these great bags to go with them. It was swaggy. Bookers came through with the food. We were inside Bayou, which is their private event space. I take honor to say that nearly 2 years ago, during my wedding, we were the first. My husband and I were the first to have a private event in the Bayou space. And it was our post-wedding brunch that we threw with our wedding party and family at that venue. And ever since then, for the past 2 years, since that experience, I've been there numerous times for lots of events. I've helped throw a lot of private events in that space, and it's beautiful. It's black owned, and the catering comes from Booker's. But for those who want to have the Booker's experience with all of the noise and jazziness in the back, this is a very great venue to have a private event for, like, baby showers, birthday parties, all kind of things of that nature. Bayou Lounge, which is next door to Booker's, is the place to be. So we had that event space. We were there. We were supposed to be there from 5 to 7 because, you know, black people, we was there till 9. No, we was there till 10. We was there till 10 o'clock, y'all. We had a good old black time. We was up in there. The food was going, the drinks were pouring. It was a good old black time. Shout out to Maker's Mark. Shout out to the Sci-Faxes, who are the new owners of Booker's, for just providing this space and sponsoring this event. You know, it was a great event that was sponsored by Booker's and sponsored by Maker's Mark, and all those black influencers who got to be in an all-black space and got to love and have support and have a good vibe for us to all be in the space and be able to do our thing without all the microaggressions, the bullshit, and the drama. Like, shout out to us. And I just want to say that there'll be more to come. There'll definitely be more to come. Like, Josh does not play when it comes to curating great events, and Libra does not play when it comes to facilitating great events. So we look forward to seeing you all. And if you are a restaurant, a liquor brand, or a sponsor, a group that want to sponsor events for black influencers in this city, get up in my DMs, because I know a lot of y'all got connections and spaces and things. But this was important because at this point in the industry, we're at an inflection point. There are enough black influencers in Philadelphia to make the city go round and to support businesses, especially black-owned businesses across the city. And we are a family. When I first started 5 years ago writing one of my acclaimed pieces, Dining While Black, I wrote about the lack of black influencers having space. And at that time, it wasn't that many people. You know, it was Geo's Table, which is my friend George. There was Josh Eats Philly, which is, of course, Josh. And it was a little small handful. And, like, we couldn't find each other in these spaces. And 5 years later, I'm the editor of Eater Philly, a food publication that is national. I am a part of a group of influencers and folks that are from all walks and backgrounds, and we're using our influence and our creativity to make an impact, an economic impact in this city, in this region, and we're taking things by storm. And so I'm really happy to see the progress that has happened for a lot of us who's been around for a while, to the people that are new to the scene. You're welcome. To the people who are trying to figure out how to get there, there's always a door open. And we just want to keep building off the momentum. And so if you're a restaurant, if you're a brand, if you know people who are connected that are really trying to support the work that we're doing and trying to give us space to do our thing, let me know in the DMs. But thank you so much for those who did support and did come out. Now, to the hot topics of the week. Kevin McCarthy. I can now say former Speaker Kevin McCarthy has made history as one of the few speakers in recent American history to be ousted from his seat. There are about 8 Republicans that joined Democrats in ousting Speaker McCarthy. Now, let me say this about how this went about. Matt Gaetz, who is that Florida congressman, who is a hot-ass mess express, who just finds himself in so much controversy and drama every time I turn around. This guy has decided to do the ultimate what the fuck moment, which was he decided to call out McCarthy and draw up, basically a charge to get him ousted. Now, see, let me tell y'all why this is a situation. He's mad. He was mad at Kevin McCarthy for working alongside Democrats to try to work to get a temporary resolution on stopping the government from shutting down. As you all remember, there were a lot of those Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene and others that were very aggressive on trying to put their foot down and stop any type of progress when it came to stopping the government shutdown. They wanted a lack of funding for the Ukraine. They wanted a lot of things. And basically, McCarthy was just really not trying to let these people take over his seat or his party. So he definitely worked with Democrats across the aisle to get to a compromise, which he did. I mean, that's how Congress should actually work. There should be some bipartisan efforts to get shit done. Well, the consequence of that is that his own acquiescence that he had back in January when he had to negotiate to get his seat came to bite him in the ass. Because a long time ago, it took a lot to remove a speaker from Congress, like to remove a speaker. It was required a lot of procedures. Those far-right Republicans said it shouldn't take all of those things. It should take one. So in the event that a speaker pisses us off and we want to draft a motion to remove them, it won't take too much red tape to do it. So that was the thing that they agreed on. And I'm thinking to myself back then in January, if you go listen to my podcast, I'm like, McCarthy is setting himself up. Because basically, if he was to piss them off, they would do this against him. And guess what they did last week? They did do it against him. And so now he's been removed as a speaker. And I think that there was a sense that Democrats would come to support him because there was that bring it on. And he said, it's on. And yeah, Kevin, you said bring it on. And guess what? It got brought on, baby. And now you're out. He thought that Democrats were going to support him because of what he did for them. Democrats finally put their foot down and said, oh, no, homie, you on your own. You got to go. Sorry, it may be chaotic for the House and Congress, but at the end of the day, we ain't about to sit up here and support you to stay in your seat because you was out here being Trump's, wet wipe for a long time. Now you have to hold that to the carpet because the very people that are rocking with Trump now done sacked on your ass. Now you fucked. So it's his responsibility. And I'm okay with Democrats making that decision because a lot of Democrats sit around here and they talk all this, they talk all that. I'm happy that Democrats said, you know what? I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good and I'm going to be great. Because at the end of the day, when the shoe is on the other foot, we don't see that level of solidarity. We don't see it. So I always tell people, think about what you do, think about what you say, and keep it 100. That's all. He got what he deserved. It is unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, what would he have done? Exactly. So I'm going to leave y'all with that on that because honestly, whatever. There are 2 people running for the seat. I believe there's a guy named Scalise, but there's also Jim Jordan, who is a fucking problem. Those are the 2. I don't know much about the other guy too much. Oh, he's the number 2 in line, basically. He's number 2 under McCarthy. Scalise. The second person is Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan, nah. Jim Jordan is a problem. Jim Jordan has aligned himself with some very problematic people. He's a whole problem, and he cannot be Speaker of the House. I think they're going to go with Scalise. I could be wrong. but I think they're going to go with him over Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan is too polarizing. These are two Republicans that are trying to go for speaker. They say that the speaker's vote should start very, very soon. So they're looking to replace McCarthy. I mean, McCarthy is out. Now they're going to go find a speaker very soon. It cannot be a Democrat because Democrats don't hold the majority in Congress. Now, the Senate is different, but Congress is another. So we're going to see how that's going to play out. Just leaving it there. Now, y'all been DMing me about what's going on in the Middle East. And I'm just going to say it like this. I want peace in the Middle East. And if you don't know enough about the situation, people, shut the fuck up. Read, listen is an option. And that's all I'm going to say on that issue, because that's what we need to be doing. Some of us need to be doing. Other people, just stay informed and know what you're talking about, because if you don't, then you're going to fuck around and you're going to find out fast. But my stance on it is peace on the Middle East. I hope that both parties can work on a reasonable solution. I hope that human rights and the dignity of people who are unfairly, unlawfully being injured and hurt by unprovoked attacks, that there will be a resolution sooner rather than later. And that what we should all do for those who are in the global community is not to instigate, not to indoctrinate, not to intimidate, and not be ignorant about the issues that are happening over there in the Middle East, the complexities that are happening, the nuances that are happening, and don't let any leaders from either of these situations define the situation for you. Do the work, read, have some humanity, have some empathy, recognize an institution's right to defend itself from harm, recognize that liberty and peace can be maintained in situations where people are actually focused on civil rights and getting rid of unnecessary, unlawful abuses. That's what I have to say. I want peace in the Middle East for everybody. Everybody deserves peace. Those who are not terrorists, those who are not colonizers, those who are not people who are creating more havoc to disrupt peace. And all I got to say is, if I had an unprovoked attack on my house, I too would pop off. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to move along. Biden allies are engaged in this multi-million-dollar effort, apparently, to squash third-party candidates because they are basically fearing that this could bolster Donald Trump in 2024. This is a very interesting conversation, and I'm happy that it's being had sooner rather than later. You know, there has been a rise in third-party candidates in the U.S. Now, third-party candidates for local seats, but we haven't talked about the potential, what that will look like for national seats. There are a lot of political forecasters that think that the 2024 election between between incumbent Joe Biden and potentially Donald Trump could be a nail-biter, and that any level of disruption from third-party candidates or outsiders could really further the gap. And so they are trying very hard to squash down any third-party candidates. And let me tell you what's been interesting. At the Green Party, Cornel West dropped out of being a third-party candidate. Did y'all see that? Did y'all hear that? Well, first of all, he had a lot of issues. Child support, unpaid taxes. Cornel West Brother Cornel West had a lot of issues. And see, when you run for president, all your receipts and all your shit come out. So a lot has come out about Cornel West since he decided to run for president. And now he's done left the Green Party as a candidate. So he says he's still going to run as an independent candidate, but he's not running as a Green Party candidate. I wonder if all of this is connected, because there has to be an interest to reduce third-party involvement in this race. I'm sorry, people, but this race is too critical for it to go back in the hands of Donald Trump. And let's be fucking real. A third-party candidate is not going to be the president of the United States in 2024. Now, will it be another conversation in 2044? Who knows? But in 2024, it ain't happening. So if you vote third party in 2024, you are basically giving Donald Trump the upper edge of winning. Period. I'm just going to say it. This is not the time. No. If y'all want to duke it out in the primary with Biden, if y'all want to have Biden have a primary, be primaried, I would rather see Democrats try to challenge Biden for the primary if that's what y'all want to do. And if there was a case to be made for voters and voters wanted to vote for a primary, don't ask me what I think about it yet. I'm still processing the reality of, does Biden deserve to have a primary candidate or not? I don't know. According to polls, people would like to see something different. But the reality is, who is that candidate to go against Biden? Is it Newsom in California? Who is it, y'all? Because whoever it is has to make the case. So that needs to be discussed. But if nobody's going to run against Biden in 2024 in the primary, then it's going to be Biden and Trump. It's Biden for me. We ain't going to do no third-party candidate. We ain't going to entertain no bullshit. It's mass distraction. There's bigger fish on the fry. Yeah. I know Biden has not kept every promise he's made, but at the end of the fucking day, we ain't going to Trump. And I also want to say something too. I had to process this a little bit because there's some shit going on and I need to really be educated in how I respond to this, but I did my research and I feel comfortable in saying this. Now, look, I know that there's been a lot of concern about the way that we've seen Black men be covered in the media as being somewhat driven to being a Republican voter. And I have seen some of that marketing and framing as well. However, I do think as a journalist, I have to be responsible and explain to y'all the fuckery of that. It is fuckery. And my colleagues in the industry are not being very honest about the fuckery of doing this. Now, I'm going to tell y'all some research. And I encourage y'all to do your own research. Because this is an opportunity for me to talk about how Black men, in this regard, has been mischaracterized in the media and unfairly framed. So let's break this down. Since 2000, I have been reading articles, like specifically looking at Black male voters. And I've noticed that I could have went back, but I've been following since the Bush era, that every fucking 4-year election cycle, there is some type of narrative that coincidentally or conveniently come up talking about Black male voters becoming right-wing. Every 4 years, there's an article, and I've played a role. I've written some of those articles, guilty as charged. But I've noticed that there's been a regurgitation of a narrative that says that Black men, are going far right compared to Black women. And there's been this unfair, interesting pitting against Black women voters and Black male voters on this issue. Now, based on the media, if you was to follow how it's been covered in the media, you would think that there is this vast, huge difference between the way that Black men think about politics compared to Black women. Because so many articles hyper animate and hyper exaggerate this distinction. The truth of the matter is, when you look at actual election votes, the margin of difference between Black male voters who vote Democrat compared to Black women is a margin of error, y'all. It's like 3%. It's not that huge. It's still in the 90s for Black men, and it's in the super 90s for Black women. It's an A for Black men. It's an A+ for Black women. Black women are the highest vote supporters of Democrats, and guess who's number 2, baby? Black men. It's been like that for years, for decades. But for some reason, people drink the Kool-Aid and buy into it. And guess what? I am only, I'm going to be 32 to speak. I'm 32 years old. I've only been able to vote in like about 3 election cycles. I've only been able to vote in 3 election cycles in my entire time of living. Like 3 election cycles I've been able to vote in. At 31 years old, I've only been able to vote in 3 election cycles. I was able to vote for Obama the second time, Hillary, and then Biden. Those were the only 3 times. So I have, in my entire voting experience, every 4 years have heard this narrative. When I look at the data isn't that deep. As much as we act like, as people have tried to create this mass conspiracy that black men are just going to them. Listen, in every community, there's never going to be 100%. Let me talk math. Let me talk statistics with y'all. Because it's time to really stop with the bullshit. And as we get into 2024, Ernestly speaking is going to do a big push to get rid of a lot of the ignorance around elections, especially when it comes to black voters. First of all, leave black voters alone. Black voters have and will continue to vote exponentially higher for Democrats than any other party. We are in the 90%. Okay, over 90% of black men and women and black voters vote Democrat. We're not the problem. And if we go lose a point or a percentage point, oh fucking well, y'all can fix the rest. White voters, white women, white men, Asian women, Latino men, Latino women. Everybody else could actually help get us there rather than looking at whatever black people are doing by 1 percentage point. I would love to see 10 percentage points go in the Latino votes favor to push us. I would like to see white women who claim to be so progressive and liberal on things, I would like to see white women push their people 10 points and 15 points up for Democrats. Because honestly, we're over here going tit for tat between black women and black men voters who are the top 2 highest vote supporters for Democrats. So mathematically, stop asking black people about Tim Scott. Okay? We ain't the fucking problem. For every 10 Scott, you have tons of other people in other communities that are doing far worse in the votes. Tim Scott don't matter to us. We don't claim Tim Scott. If you want to know what black voters don't give a fuck about Tim Scott. Okay? Stop it. Stop asking black people about black Republicans. Y'all white folks need to ask white people about white Republicans. How about that? Okay? Go to Florida and go ask Latino voters about why they're voting Republican in areas outside of Miami-Dade County. Or Texas. Yeah, I live in Texas. Talk to those Latinx voters in Texas that voted against Democrats, right? They voted against Beto O'Rourke, okay? Ask them why those numbers in those areas was for Republicans in areas where Republican leadership fucked over immigrant issues and other issues pertaining to Latinx people in Texas. I don't see those conversations being done or being held, okay? Ask Asian voters or AAPI voters why people like David O continue to be a Republican and why some of them continue to vote largely for him in a majority Democratic city. Ask those questions if you want to be fair, because it's a disproportionate amount of energy towards black male voters in this presidential race, when if you really think about it, a lot of black male voters who are voting largely Democrat, but a lot of black male voters are incarcerated at rates to which they're being denied the right to vote. They're being denied the right to vote because of their criminal past or records. They're being denied to vote because of state laws that discriminate against them in the Deep South. Like, there's a lot of reasons why those numbers are the way they are. And I am tired of having people ask me that question. Because it's an intellectually dishonest question. Because it's a question that has not been rooted in data and research. And it's a question that's being framed by the majority white media spaces and outlets that we have. And so as a black journalist, as a black male journalist, I want you all to know that as someone who covers politics, these are the things that annoy me every election cycle. There is no black male Democratic Party problem. There is none. Now, are there problems that we have as black men with the Democratic Party? Absolutely. We do feel that we're not being heard on issues pertaining to our specific community concerns. But nonetheless, in spite of that fuckery, we as a massive base of voters still vote Democrat in spite of the bullshit, because we do know that men like Trump don't mean well for us. And I just want y'all to know that in history, there will always be a token few that will benefit from instant gratification at the subjugation of our people. And we have to recognize those disparities and not inflate them and not engross them and make them the face. Tim Scott is not the face of black male voters in America. His opinions about laws, policies, history does not reflect that of black male voters. Okay? The same way that Tomi Lahren does not reflect the views of white women in America. Her stances, her extreme stances, does not reflect the average white woman in America. She does not. But we love caricatures. We love animated, charismatic figures that are, by design, contrarians to the status quo. And when you embrace status quo disruptors, hint, hint, sometimes that leads to, thoughtful, insightful, enriching dialogue and change of profound measurement. And sometimes it leads to total distraction, debauchery, and a hot-ass mess. I want us to think about the former rather than the latter. I want y'all to think about how small pockets of barbershop talk does not necessarily manifest into the reality and lived experiences of how black men vote. Just because you see black men in the barbershop or in spaces saying, man, Biden's full of shit, or he get on my nerves, does not mean they're going to automatically vote for Trump. People like Sexy Red, because I know y'all talk about that Sexy Red video, okay? Miss Pound Town. She was doing Clown Town early this week. There's this conversation about those quote-unquote Trump checks. Oh, Trump gave us checks. Trump gave us stimulus checks, blah, 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 blah. Y'all got to understand something. Black people are going to have, I'm going to go there. The only group of people in this country that I feel like have the ultimate ability to be able to say fuck everybody and still vote for who they want to vote for are black people. Because when you think about it politically, both of these political parties have fucked over black people exponentially throughout history. The Democratic Party has been dirty and ungrateful to black people, specifically black women. They're finally beginning to give some care about black women's concerns. But they have historically have taken them for granted, neglected them, and bullshit them. And then the only time you hear white women collectively praising black women is in November of every election cycle, when they're like, yes, black women, you're our heroes. Thank you all for saving the country. But the rest of the year, you all are leaving them out of important conversations politically, not paying them what they're due, not including them at the table to make decisions for the community, not spotlighting their work, not honoring their work, not acknowledging the work, stealing their ideas, exploiting the fuck out of them, and silencing and gaslighting them along the fucking way. And then black men, right, you all assume that you know what we think and don't even include us at all. Or you cherry pick the same old black men that you always bring to the table. And then the rest of the young ones and others are just kind of just like left out the entire conversation. So it's just never been respect for black voters, male or woman, in this country. And it continues to happen. And every election cycle, there's always these stupid pieces that come out trying to understand how we're going to vote and how we feel, because they all know that for the 12% population that black people have in this country, I think we are less than that actually, but at that percentage number, we hold so much weight in keeping primaries together. Look, if black people were not in South Carolina, Biden would have not won, okay? Biden needed black primary states like South Carolina and others to help him win. Take us seriously. Do not take us for granted. Do not keep ignoring us in these conversations. And that's just all I got to say on that. So Mayor Eric Adams has been visiting Mexico, Ecuador, and Colombia to warn migrants against traveling to the to New York City. Eric Adams is a clown. That's just the most mature thing I can say about him right now. He is a clown. Like, you're going to Mexico, Ecuador, and Colombia to tell migrants to not come to New York City. Okay. Just clearly, this man does not know the history of New York, doesn't care to. He's just a clown. Clown, clown, clown. Just a clown. Dumb. Next. So there's been a conversation about Sam Bankman-Fried's trial. He's on trial. His trial started last week. He's the guy who had the crypto game. He had the big old cryptocurrency situation. It's been considered fraud, according to prosecutors. His lawyers are saying that, he's a guy who made some mistakes, but they would have considered him someone who did some mass corruption, scheme, and fraud. Fuck out of here. We all know that cryptocurrency was fraud. This is a moment, though. Because in the beginning of the pandemic, and when I was doing my podcast, at the start of my podcast, which is now about to be very soon 2 years old, look at that, we had a conversation about, actually it's about to be 3 years old. Oof, 3 years old. Wow. Time goes by when you're having fun, huh? In the very beginning of the podcast, in the heat of the pandemic, this podcast came together at the end of 2020. There was a lot of conversations about cryptocurrency. And I remember saying at the very beginning that all of that sounded like bullshit. Something wasn't right. Fast money. Make real money, y'all. That ain't the way. And now to see in this entire time, we've seen cryptocurrency continue to hit these weird rock bottoms. And this is what I've said. All of these wannabe entrepreneurial experts, all of these wannabe financial idealists, all these people that talked all this cash shit about, cryptocurrency and this, that, and the third, and I'm doing some new stuff and making money, blah, 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 blah. What the fuck are you doing now with those digital coins? Where is the gold? Are any of you all billionaires and millionaires? All of you all who talked all that shit, sold people on that drink, where is the money? Where is your wealth? All that talk, all that Forex shit. Where is it? Where is it? Because at this point, it's time to put up or shut up. All of the people that I know on social media and those who talked all about cryptocurrency, talked about all these little small businesses, how they were putting their stock in and all that. You know what's funny? I haven't heard anything from them lately. It's been real quiet. Oh, is it because you all were one of the people who got suckered and zuckered by Sam Bankman-Fried? Is that why? Are y'all one of the people who did? That CX crap that y'all was talking about didn't go through? While regular people like me was just investing my money smartly and saving my money and, doing smart things with it. Oh, while regular people did regular things with their money? Yeah. Because everybody want to be rich. Sometimes you can just work your ass off and get rich. You can get a 6-figure book deal. You can save your money. You can invest in projects that's going to, build. You can, raise your fees. You can increase your capacity to make income. You can get married. You can save. You can create a business account. You can do a lot of things to just generate more money for yourself without doing this dumb shit that can make you lose everything. Families ruined. Finances splattered. A lot of people got involved in this cryptocurrency situation only for it to fall short. And this man is on trial for misleading a lot of people. And your little celebrity friends, they got paid, to promote this shit. And they're still rich. Right. You know that, right? They're still rich. You're still not. This is the moment, y'all. It's time for us to read. It's time for us to pause. It's time for us to stop being impulsive and making these really fast, desperate ass, clout chasing ass decisions that's going to end up leading to more stress and trauma and drama. We gotta slow down a little bit because we're moving too fast. Just saying. City Council has been pretty chill. A lot has come down since, the decision around the safe injection sites. But I had a really great interview on Philadelphia City Council Live with your host, Ernest Owens, 91, where I'm at, what we do over there at WRD. Love that radio station, every Thursday from 10 to 11, we're 96.1 FM, 900 AM, progressive Black Talk Media. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary. So it's going to be fabulous. This past episode of Philadelphia City Council Live, I interviewed council member Kendra Brooks. We had a really great interview, y'all. We haven't talked in like a long time, but we had a really great interview and we was feeling the vibe. It was a really good conversation about the 76ers arena. And I was trying to understand her positioning because there was some big announcements that came out earlier today. Not today, last week. Labor's District Council business manager, Ryan Boyer, my good friend, and he's also over the Philadelphia Building Trades. He basically, they made endorsements. They endorsed 5 candidates, 4 Democrats and a Republican for city council at large. They did not endorse Kendra and Nicholas, who are working family party candidates, but they endorsed a Republican and they endorsed 4 Democrats. And it's going to get messy. So they endorsed Isaiah Thomas, Kathleen Gilmore Richardson, Nina Ahmad, and Jim Harity. They did not endorse Rue Landau, which has caused a lot of chatter. Apparently, according to an interview that Ryan Boyer did with the Philadelphia Inquirer, he stated that he did not endorse her because the reality with the 76ers arena is there is a weird word salad here. They did not endorse people who were against the arena, but the people they endorsed were not outwardly in support of the arena. The point that I guess he was making was that the other candidates that they endorsed were open to the idea. They weren't outwardly against it. And his impression of Rue Landau was that she was against it. The other 4 or 5 did not necessarily have a outright stance either way. And so I guess what he wasn't going to endorse was somebody who was outwardly against it. And so that makes sense why Kendra and Nicholas weren't endorsed. And possibly Rue. I'll just say, interesting. But in conversations with Councilmember Brooks last Thursday on my show, one of the things that came up in that conversation was that she says she hasn't really been given any information from the 76ers arena people about the arena. She's not seen a formal proposal. She doesn't understand any of the means of jobs. Like there's been this term being like there's going to be jobs, but she's like, what kind of jobs? She considers jobs as being full-time, benefits, union protected with healthcare and benefits applied and actual full functioning jobs at various levels. She hasn't seen those types of jobs being discussed in her opinion. And she said they have not actually formally reached out to her in months to engage her about what they're working and what they're doing. And she says as a result of that, she cannot make a decision until she has the information. So she says, as of right now, her stance is no, because she says, what am I voting for? I don't have anything to vote for. I don't have any information to inform a decision to say a yes. So until I get that, the answer is no. I can respect that. I can respect Kendra on that. It is true. There might be some members of city council that have been given information, but really, to be honest, there's been no impact study that's been released. So you really cannot make a decision like this until there is actually an impact study to be seen. Now, the Kennedy administration has approved one. We're supposed to be waiting to see when it comes out. But as that happens, the clock is ticking. There's conversations about, fashion district, might be headed to bankruptcy. There's some $700+ million debt. And to add insult to injury, the whole conversation around arenas is also not looking good across the board. Barclays Center, which is in Brooklyn. Remember that big arena in Brooklyn and Jay-Z and, there was going to be a great business boom and Brooklyn was about to be the new hot spot because of the gentrification? Guess what? Barclays Center in Brooklyn has a $76 million loss this year. $76 million. I find that very ironic or coincidental because the number is $76 million loss. 76ers Arena, 76 the number, Philadelphia. Oh my goodness, is this a sign? Is this a sign that we should not do it? I wonder. Because I mean, it could have just been $75 million, but it was 76. I don't know. It feels like a forewarning. Look this story up, but there was a $76 million loss from the Barclays Center this year that they're counting, that they're expecting and projecting, whatever. That stadium hasn't been around that long. It's a fairly new arena compared to others that have been built. Already $76 million this year alone? So soon? But we're trying to put one here when we already have like a Wells Fargo Center already? I mean, Comcast, Connect. I mean, there's a lot of investment already here. I just don't really know why we would need another arena. Just saying. And here's the thing, 76ers, if you really cared about Philly and Philly businesses, you might have put your arena, your headquarters here in Philly rather than in Camden. Yeah, did you know the 76ers headquarters are in Camden, New Jersey? But they want to put the arena here in Philly? Interesting. So all of their executives are getting paid through the Jersey tax codes, but not the Philly ones. Interesting. So, also, there's been a lot of news. Speaking of third-party candidates, the Working Families Party in Philadelphia for Nicholas O'Rourke and Kendra Brooks, those two candidates running for those at-large seats in the minority section of the vote, they are getting endorsed by river wards from the Democratic Party. They're getting Democratic ward endorsements now. If there was ever a time to see the local resistance to the current leadership of the Democratic establishment, we are in interesting times, people. Interesting times. River wards and there are wards that are endorsing third-party candidates. This is getting real. This is getting really real. I'm telling people, be smart, be woke, think carefully. I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it's been interesting. So the second ward and the River Wards area Democrats have endorsed them. This is the first time ever a Democratic ward has endorsed Working Family Party candidates in their official capacity. The River Wards area Democrats is an independent Democratic organization of volunteers, committee people, and local activists representing wards 5, 18, 25, and 31. And the second ward also endorsed them. This is a big deal. That is 5 wards. 5 wards in Philadelphia are endorsing third-party candidates for this general election on November 7th. I'm telling y'all, this November 7th election is going to be epic. And it's going to take a lot of people that's going to come out. Wow. Yeah. November 11th is going to be huge. It's going to be a big deal. We're officially a month away, less than a month away from the November general election. It's what we got, like about 4 weeks. Technically, Tuesday will be officially 4 weeks. 4 weeks until we get to election day. And it seems to be picking up momentum. I think the focus is going to really be on Nicholas pulling that upset for the Republican Party, taking them out of at-large power. Like it's getting there. We're getting there. It's coming, y'all. Just saying. In other news, there was a viral video that came out. I know a lot of people have been talking about it. There was a Black queer woman and her partner, two black women who had a child in the car. This idiot jumped over the car, jumped on top of that car, and basically His name is Cody Heron. He's been arrested by police, but this white man jumped on the back seat of a car and then pulled out a gun on this queer woman who stepped out the car. She was protecting her family, and she stood out there and she looked at him like, "What you gonna do?" and stood there while this stuff happened, but basically was not going to leave. Well, because of photos, social media, and virality, they was able to capture this idiot named Cody Heron, a white man who got booked in by Philadelphia police, charged, and everything else. I mean, at the end of the day, he's trash. And there was the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office requested a $5 million bail. He was a motorcyclist that was seen attacking this woman on last Sunday night. But it's been a lot of issues that have happened since then, and it just goes to show that in our society, people will just do whatever they want to do. By myself, all this background music. People would do whatever they want to do to make things about them. Just not care or have a regard for people's public safety. So yeah, I'm happy that he is facing the consequences for his actions. He's a total jerk. He's an idiot. And, doing stuff like that is just not okay. It's just not. Period. Like, what are you doing? So, yeah. So there has been some other sad news that's become national news, and people have asked me about different thoughts. Josh Kruger is somebody who was a person I knew. Josh Kruger was killed on last Monday. He was a journalist I knew in Philadelphia. He's always had a troubled background. His life was full of ups and downs. He experienced homelessness. He experienced substance abuse. He dealt with that affliction in his life in his past. He was an HIV positive advocate that really talked about these issues in his writing, while also talking about these issues as a member of the Kennedy administration. He served as a deputy communication director at one point in time in the Kennedy administration. Then he transferred to another city agency where he also did some communications work. Years ago, many years ago, when I was a columnist and reporter at Metro Philadelphia, the free paper, I want to say around early 2016 or 2015, around 2015, he was a reporter there. He took a lot of freelance jobs. He's running for a lot of the local publications in Philly for a while. And, over the years, he evolved. I will say that in the past, we differed in opinions. We were not, the best of friends towards the end of his death, towards the end of his life. We had different opinions about the world and things, and we did not communicate as much. But I still had a lot of respect for his tenacity, his energy, his courage to speak his truth, in spite of how other people could feel. And, it's sad that this is how he went out. It is unfortunate. And my thoughts and prayers go with his family, his friends, and those who were close to him. There has been updates pertaining to his death. There has been a man identified as a suspect, and they say that the suspect knew him. The individual is Robert Edmund Davis, who is 19 years old. He's Black. He was identified as the offender in Kruger's slayer, and there has been a warrant issued for his arrest. People said he should be considered armed and dangerous because Josh Kruger, his death was unfortunate. He was shot multiple times to death outside of his own home, which was in South Philly. It's a lot. Based on what the police lieutenant said, he said, quote, "At this time, we believe that Mr. Kruger was trying to help Mr. Davis and they were acquaintances. He was trying to help him just get through life." That is what we know right now. It wasn't clear how the shooter ended up at his home. People are trying to figure out a possible motive. The internet is interneting right now, and I say that with a little bit of disdain and disgust. We are at a point in our society where people just don't, it's a lot of things being said on the internet about what the potential relationship or connection could have been regarding why this young black, potentially queer man was at the door. I'm not going to entertain those conversations. But what I will say is that now that we know that it was a 19-year-old black man who people are saying are queer, saying there is a connection to Josh and his way, they're assuming things, and we see how coverage plays out. I'm reserving my own personal judgment assessment of the situation publicly until more details are shown. But people will use racism and homophobia and the combination of both to try to draw conclusions that may or may not be true, and also just, quite frankly, unproductive to solving and finding justice. So we'll see what happens. We'll follow this case. But for now, to the families and people that have lost this man who they've loved for so long, our thoughts and prayers go out to them in the community. So anytime a queer journalist or writer is gone and left off the planet, it's never a good time at all. And it's just unfortunate. So I want to talk about this real quick before I get to Ask Ernest. There was people asked me about National Coming Out Day, the National Coming Out Day Parade. Where do I stand? Why am I not there? Yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. Listen, I don't really, the people who are organizing these LGBTQ gatherings in Philadelphia that are like having these parades and doing these events, they are very anti-Black. They are very gatekeepy. They're very paternalistic. They're very passive. They're very just problematic. Listen, I am not just a prominent gay figure in Philadelphia. I am just a prominent figure in Philadelphia. And I have always been outwardly gay as much as I've been outwardly Black. And I think because I carry both of those identities and the way in which I do makes a lot of these very prominent white people who create these events intimidated, jealous, bitter, and just tired. And so when you don't see people like me or Josh or Gio or the Lip Brothers or any of these prominent Black queer people who are in this community doing this work, not at these events, but you often see that they always have us framed in a very subservient role. If we're not, the nonprofit community people that they can tell their stories of how they saved us from ourselves, they don't want us there. They don't want us to be celebrated in that way. They like to have the most distraught, the most tokenized factors of our community spotlighted in a way that excludes a lot of the different types of Black success and queer Black success that should be there. Where are the Black lawyers? Where are the Black journalists? Where are the Black queer achievers that are doing it in a way that we could be role models to that youth and to the most vulnerable in our communities? Why is it the white savior complex being perpetuated at these events the way they are? I'm just disgusted. I'm disgusted. And we're never invited. We're never brought to the table. When we come to the table, we demand better. But this is the opportunity for a lot of these old white farts, to be honest, to self-celebrate themselves, to just basically make it about them, and to rewrite history and erase Black trans people in ways that do not make them look like the saviors of those people's lives. These people are trash. And the people that play into the tokenism, the people that are the pick-me's of color in our community that go to those events and support those events so they can get their little 15 seconds of fame, like, it's disgusting. And we see this every year and it never gets old. So yeah, that's why I don't go, because I don't like the people that produce the events. I feel like they're very performative. I feel like it's become Black History Month, except they're doing it themselves. And I just feel like it's internally, it's super political. It's highly petty. And quite frankly, I don't need to be at a pride parade or be at, I don't need to be at a pride parade. I don't need to be at any of these events for my queerness to be embraced or celebrated or recognized. I don't have to be in those types of spaces to feel validated. I've done a lot thus far in my career and will continue to, where I can be uplifted in a way that is more respectful and dignified than that. I hope I, did not hesitate to say everything that was off my chest. I mean, I hope I let y'all know how I really felt. I think I let y'all, somebody would say, tell us how you really feel. That's how I really feel. So, thank you for that. So ask Ernest this week. This is a very different question. A little fun. I debated if I wanted to talk about it compared to the stuff that we've been talking about lately, but this was something a little different. I was very intrigued by the question. It's something from the headlines, and somebody asked me about it, so I'll get into it. Hey, Ernest, I hope that you're doing well. Happy early birthday, you proud Libra. Libra's in the house, represent. I really want to take a moment to ask you a question that I hope you will answer and not feel as stupid, but I want to shoot my shot anyway. So I don't know if you read, but earlier this week, there was a big controversy that is happening across America, and I think it's a very serious matter, LOL. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated, AKAs for people who want to know what it is. Alpha Kappa Alpha Inc. is a black sorority that is in America, that is the first black sorority in America. They are the first. Now, Alphas, Alpha Phi Alpha, is the first black fraternity sorority of the Divine Nine of its history, but the AKAs are the first sorority. These are Greek letter organizations. They're a part of the Divine Nine. There's 9 sororities and fraternities that are black combined. Can I do all 9 at the top of my head? Let me try. There's the Alphas. There's the Kappas. There's the Omegas. No, and let me be clear. There's no ranking order. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. There's the Alphas. There's the Kappas. There's the Qs, which are Omega Psi Phi. There's the Iotas. There's the Sigmas. There's the Zetas. There's the AKs. There's the Deltas. And there's Sigma Gamma Rho. Woo! I got all 9. Yay! Black card is reactivated again and again and again. Or reloaded again. But those are that is the Divine Nine. And I'm not a member, but I've had many of them in my life. But that is the Divine Nine. And so this woman who reached out to me is one of them. Back to my letter. So she says, I'm an AKA, and basically I feel that there has been a lot of disrespect on my sorority in the past couple of weeks. Earlier this week, there was a viral video showing a white woman in a classroom having an AKA jacket. She was a substitute teacher, and she apparently wore the AKA jacket of the teacher that was there. It was a viral moment where students shared it on social media, and they kept telling her to take it off, and she wouldn't. Then later this week, there was a situation where one of my sorors saw a young girl who was white wearing an AKA shirt that was sparkly and designed with our letters and the year that we were founded, which of course was 1908. Interesting. She said that apparently the teacher, her soror, took the shirt off, told the young lady to take the shirt off. She confiscated the shirt and she gave her a cleaner shirt to wear, and she kept the shirt in her possession. She says that after there was an exchange between apparently let me see, scroll down a little bit. Apparently after, I guess there was a situation where the teacher took the shirt from the student and replaced the shirt on a white t-shirt. She confiscated that shirt because she claimed, and I'm going to read directly from her, that this is an AKA shirt, and that as a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Inc., which is a service organization for college-trained and educated women, this AKA branded item is trademarked and reserved for members only, and that thus she had no choice but to give her a new shirt and to take the AKA shirt, and the new shirt she received is clean and there's no need to give it back. So apparently, once this had happened, there was the principal had returned the confiscated shirt, and there was a statement sent out to Metro Public Schools that said, once informed of the incident, the principal immediately began an investigation. While the shirt was not in accordance with the school's dress code due to having writing, the appropriate course of action would have been to refer the matter to the school administration and not take the shirt from the student. There is no policy or dress code specific to sorority branded clothing. So the question is, to me, was the principal wrong for giving that AKA shirt back to these white people who owned it, not them? Whew. This is complicated. This is very complicated because I'm not saying I can see both sides, but what I will say is that this is a moment where context, policy, history, and all those things come to a clash. So for starters, I'm curious about how this white girl, this little girl, ended up even getting the shirt to begin with. Maybe somebody who was an AKA gave it to a thrift shop, which I've heard from people I know that normally you're not supposed to give it to a thrift shop. You're supposed to either burn it, get rid of it, or for whatever reasons, but you can't let it be accessed by people who are not members. I mean, people take this stuff seriously. They treat it like it's gang colors or gang paraphernalia. I'm not judging. I ain't judging nobody, but it's a complicated situation. I wonder if it would have been different if your soror would have had the conversation with the parent without just confiscating the shirt and not giving it back or giving any context. Because at the end of the day, while you all got your own sororities connections, don't mess around and lose your job, because at the end of the day, in that moment, that property belonged legally to that little girl. And so the law does not care about these internalized politics. However she got that shirt is how she got that shirt. And, you know, I had a situation many years ago, over a decade ago, clearly. I was a sophomore and I don't think the word should be called dating. I think dating is inappropriate. But I was dealing with a boy who was the alpha, and he was a jerk. We can definitely agree on that. I think everybody involved was a jerk except me. But I think I did a jerk. Well, anyway, he was alpha, and he and I messed around every blue moon at the time. I should have been talking to him. You know, it's like one of those like, yeah, I should have not talked to him. But, you know, one night I was bored and he was around, and the reason why I should have never talked to him, because he was on the DL. He was not out. I don't think he's ever going to ever be out, but that's neither here nor there. But what would happen is that we would do our thing, and this is so early 2010s, because we're in 2020s. This shit is just stupid now. But back then at the time, he would have these moments where, he would, we would have our thing, and then he wouldn't talk to me, and then he would talk to me, and it was just weird. But nonetheless, I shouldn't talk to him because I was at a place where I was clearly comfortable with my skin, very cozy with who I am. That lyric. And, I just was at a point where I was like, I don't want to talk to any man that's on the DL, any guy who's in the closet. For me, I'm not judging those guys. Their journey is their journey. But for me and my peace of mind and my mental health and my safe space, it's just no reason for me to be with a man that is not out. Because at the end of the day, when I have those yearnings for something more, I might catch feelings, there's nothing there and it's not going to go anywhere, and I'm wasting my time. Someone says, what's worse, dating a DL man or a married man? To be honest, both are just as bad, because a person that can't free themselves, I see a person that's married that want to be with somebody else is a trapped man, and a person that cannot live their truth because of fear is still a trapped man. Both are enchained for some reason or other, for various reasons. And for those that are single and free to mingle, like myself at that time, I had no business talking to a married man, and he was not a married man. Let me be clear, he was not a married man. We was in school together. But just as much as I don't have no business talking to a married man, I have no business talking to a DL man, because both of those men are not going to do anything to fulfill me for what I need. I believe that men who are in the closet should deal with each other, because only y'all can understand what that shit is like. But I should have never did it. But, I was lonely, I was horny, I was bored at the time. He came over. He had a lanyard. He left his lanyard on the chair of where my computer desk area was. And, he, had we hooked up that night. He left before the crack of dawn. The way that he acted when he left was so cold. And he just brushed me off and did the I don't know what happened thing and left. And so while I was getting my room together and regretting the whole entire experience, I saw his lanyard on the chair, and I was like, I was a bad, bad girl. No, I took a picture of it and I posted on Facebook. I didn't say who it belonged to, because that's not good. You don't do that. And I basically said, like, I guess you left something. And my internet exploded. I didn't realize the complexity of what I did until I did it and what it held. So automatically, I got phone calls, like people like alphas from all over the area on campus was like, where did you get that from? And you need to give that back. And it was just very aggressive. And I was very quiet. I just was like, oh shit, this is serious. And I didn't realize how deep it was, right? Like, I was being petty, but I didn't realize how crazy this paraphernalia shit was. So everybody was like, they were like, they were like, it was like a witch hunt. They were like trying to find all the boys, all of the frat brothers. They were like asking them to come and line up, and they wanted to see all of their badges. Whoever didn't have it, clearly was going to be outed. I didn't even realize that was going to happen to him. And even though he did me fucking wrong, I could not help but have grace. So I did something very bad. I took it, I dropped it right down in the bushes out my window, and I told him it was under the bushes and he had to run and go get it before they come catch him. It was problematic. All of it was problematic. He was problematic, what I did, but I didn't realize it. But you know what? I didn't give a fuck. Because in that moment, I was like, you know what? You do deserve to sweat. Well, let me just say this. Long story short, he got the lanyard before he got quote unquote caught. They came to my door, not him, but one of his profile or one of their whatever they call it, was like, you have something that belongs to us. And I was sitting there looking like, and what you gonna do? Like, I was like, you rolling up over here. What the fuck you gonna do? I told him. He came and got it, but he couldn't come to my floor because at that point it was up in the day. It was past the afternoon. Had he came to the building, came upstairs, he would have got caught. Me dropping in the bushes and him sneaking to get it was the only way that this could have been hidden. You see how crazy this shit sound? All this over sexual orientation, the homophobia within Black fraternities and Greek life in general, not just Black fraternities, but just in general. Like, it's crazy. Something so innocuous, something so light was a crisis. And so by the time they lined those boys up, and they never found out who the person was. Now, that's called mercy. Don't y'all tell me I don't give people grace. Because the same trash ass DL dude who literally denied me, played in my face, literally could have lost it all in that moment. And it was his fault because he forgot his shit in my place. But just the mere fact that all of that could have happened. I shouldn't have posted on Facebook. I was a bad girl. But at the same time, I was fed up. But at the same time, the way that this culture is around these things and what they represent is crazy. So, yes, it was at that moment in my life when I realized I needed to settle down. It wasn't immediate, but that was one of the signs where I was like, you know what? I need to be with people like me, that want to be with me, that's comfortable in their skin, that's about that life. And now I'm happily married with Mr. Johnson, and the rest is history. But I say all that to say that I know this is a little controversial, but it ain't the young lady's fault that one of your sorors out there in the world put that shirt out there. And so you cannot retroactively punish or create drama for an innocent little girl who did not know what was going on. Now, she got the shirt back. At the end of the day, hopefully that girl can't wear that shirt to school because it's against the dress code. Apparently she liked the colors, pink and green, and she didn't think anything of it. And that's why cultural competency is important. People should know about historically black colleges and universities. They should know about Divine Nine fraternities and organizations. But at the same time, some stuff isn't that deep. And while I get that this is a culture shock, I just think no one should risk their jobs behind all of this, because if the AKAs are not going to pay for her legal fees or get her a new job, then I don't think she should be risking it over a little 7-year-old girl wearing a t-shirt that she may have gotten from a thrift store. So we just got to be a little bit more thoughtful in spite of the bullshit. So that's what I got to say. That's the best I can offer to the conversation. That's all. So, movies. I'm excited about this Beyoncé. Beyoncé did not disappoint. There will be a Beyoncé concert film coming out on December 1st, which is World AIDS Day. It's dedicated and inspired by her father, her Uncle Johnny, who passed away from HIV, AIDS-related complications back in the day, which he also influenced, the Renaissance album, which is an ode to queer ballroom culture, which I love. Black queer ballroom culture. Black. Let me emphasize that. Great album, great concert. I've seen the concert, as you all know, in person, and I'm super excited to be able to now go watch it at an AMC near you. Lit Brothers got exclusive tickets to see the screening of the show, of the film, before its release date at the end of November. Now, the film comes out in theaters near you, everybody, on December 1st. There are tickets sold out right now across Philadelphia and across the region, across the country, for those early day tickets. But you can still, book your tickets and try to get you a seat to watch the show. There's been a big rise in concert films. I am going to see, later this week, the Taylor Swift movie film is coming out, and I'm excited. Taylor Swift, it's her tour is happening, and she is, traveling internationally, about to go international in the next couple of weeks. But the domestic tour, the domestic U.S. tour, I think is a wrap. I think it's done. So now she has a concert film, and it's the Eras Tour film. So I, had got nosebleeds back in May, and the experience wasn't visually pleasing, but it was great to be in a room and feel the energy. I can't wait to now see the concert film in person this upcoming Sunday. As you all know, the film is coming out on my birthday weekend. So Friday and Saturday is not going to Taylor Swift, but Sunday, she's going to have my Sunday, and I'm going to watch it in theaters. So I'm looking forward to seeing the concert film as well. So I'm going to be concert filmed out, People are like, what are you wearing to the Beyoncé concert, for those who ask? I'm debating. I think all she gonna get out of me is a tour T-shirt. I don't think I'm gonna re-dress for this occasion. I don't know. It depends on my mood. I can see myself putting back on that cowboy hat, but I also don't want to be obnoxious and rude to my folks that are watching the movie because they might. That hat is. I'm so tall already. My head is already, like I can't put that hat on and block them from watching the film. So 9 times out of 10, I'm just gonna probably wear the Beyonce tour T-shirt. Um, I'm gonna wear the Beyonce tour T-shirt. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wear the tour T-shirt when I go watch the film. So that's my fashion plans. As far as music go, look, I'm gonna take this moment to talk about Drake because I'm tired. Y'all, I am tired. And I feel like at this point, I'm not arguing with none of my friends. I'm not arguing with Joe. I'm not arguing with Amanda. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not arguing about Drake. Drake is trash. Drake had some hits back in the day. Drake made some great music for people back in the day. I wasn't the craziest Drake fan because I am a person, it's hard for me to like a person in spite of their music. Like, if I don't like the person or believe the person, it's hard for me to appreciate them. It's the R. Kelly conversation. It's the conversation I have with Nicki Minaj right now. I can't with Nicki right now because Nicki's just doing too much. That's how I feel about Drake at this point. Now, Amanda knows that for over 10 years, I've been telling her Drake was a fake. He was a facade. I have always felt like in the back of my gut that Drake's whole vibe was just disingenuous. Like, I'm not saying the man did not have talent at one point in his career. He's got some great songs. Like, Nice for What is a nice song, Take Care as an album was very fun. I really did enjoy the Take Care energy. Nothing Was the Same was very much a Paramount album. People argue he hasn't been good since Views. I do see some songs on Scorpion that I like. I like Nonstop. I thought, Nice for What was a cute little jam. That's about it. I mean, I'm not super into Drake like that. I know there are other people that will tell me there's more Drake songs that are great, but I just have found him stuck in Never Neverland. Like, I feel like he has not grown as an artist, even though his fans have grown. And that's what I can appreciate about Beyonce, is that I have grown up with Beyonce for 20 years. And I feel like as I've grown up listening to her music, she's grown up, I've grown up, the music's grown with me. Even Rihanna, during anti-era and even more, her music elevated and grew up to a certain extent. But I just don't see that with Drake. I don't see Drake music growing up or his persona evolving. Kendrick, for all his critiques that he does have to a certain extent, Kendrick has matured with us over the years. Like, his stuff has become a little bit more thoughtful and reflective and self-critical and things of that nature. The delivery can sometimes be slippery, but he overall has evolved with us. I would even say J. Cole has done that. J. Cole is not the same J. Cole I knew 10 years ago. But with Drake just does not grow up. And the growing up doesn't have to be in the music. Some people's music can be innocuous, right? Like Bruno Mars can keep making the same type of song, but you know what? The song is good, and the song is fun, and it is of substance. My issue with Drake is that he's devolving. We're not actually seeing a man grow up or evolve, we're seeing a man devolve. So even though I think it was actually inaccurate for me to say he was stuck, actually Drake is not stuck in one era. Drake is actually going backwards in his entire appeal. So the whole narrative around Drake was, oh, he was this man who was in touch with his emotions and his feelings. That was what was said about him like 10 years ago. And I would listen to that and would say, okay, but this is just a white man. I mean, a white man, a light-skinned man that's just playing off of his aesthetic to appeal to a broader base of women, only to turn around and be trash in the end. And if you actually go back and listen to some of Drake's songs, this wasn't a man actually pouring out his emotions about how he felt about missing someone. This was a man that was actually whining about fucking not being able to control or possess the lives of younger women around him. And to some extent with these songs, it was also someone that was just a bitter ass ex that was just salty that the girl he liked moved on, that she wasn't the apple of his fucking eye anymore, that she chose to go off and do what she wanted to do the same way he did, but for whatever reason, he held a double standard because she wasn't a quote unquote good girl back in her campus in a Jersey. Like, I don't get what it is about him. This is a man who loved to slut shame, but loved strip clubs and even impregnated a stripper that was not black. But anywho, this is a man who wants people to be real and vulnerable, but he hid his own fucking child. Again, lots of contradictions, but everyone loved it because he was so popular, and the star-studdedness blinded them from holding him accountable. Drake has been given so many passes that I feel like he doesn't even need to get on the ride at Six Flags, because how many passes does this motherfucker need to get on the ride of redemption? Every single time. I feel like for me, the downpour, the instant downpour for me came with the release of Certified Lover Boy. When the R. Kelly sample impolation, or whatever y'all want to call it, happened, that was a red flag for me. Everyone was like, oh no, that's not intentional, music producers, blah, blah, blah. I was like, y'all, okay, I'll let y'all breathe. Next, he does the 21 Savage collaboration, right? And he goes and make a shot and a diss at Meg Thee Stallion. Again, some of y'all were like, oh, well, I don't know. He wouldn't do that. He, he, he. Okay. Then he goes on tour and disses Meg on tour. Weird. Random. Why would you do that? Interesting. Then he does the cover of a single with SZA, that horrible-ass song that went to number 1. It's got a picture of Halle Berry getting slimed on, which was a photo that she did not want used. She told him not to use it. He did it anyway, and then he used it to promote his number 1 single with SZA. Trash-ass song, not that good. Why did he decide to do this to a black woman? I don't fucking know. Then he drops his album, his latest album, For the Dogs, which just automatically tells you he's a dog and also embraces the incel in him. In this album, he makes 2 references that are notable. He makes a diss at Rihanna, talking about average sex, dissing her boyfriend. And let me just add that he also, a couple of months, a while back, threw a diss at fucking Serena Williams, his ex's husband. Leave that fucking woman alone and her children, you idiot. But made a diss at her husband. Now fast forward to this. He makes a diss at Rihanna, talking about her sex and talking about all this. You are a horrible ass ex. Leave that woman alone. I mean, we could talk about how he collaborated with Chris Brown to troll her. We could talk about how he collaborated with Meek Mill to troll other folks. We could talk about all the other things he's done in the past to just get on Rihanna's nerves. But like, dude, you're still doing this? But then to add insult to injury, he makes a dig at Esperanza Spalding. He's dissing this black woman who's a jazz artist who don't got nothing to do with Drake. And I'm just like, why are you naming her in your song? Why are you bothering this woman? Why are you doing this? Like, I don't understand. Esperanza Spalding comment or diss was irrelevant. So I put out a viral tweet this weekend and said that Drake's music has been on a rapid decline since Certified Lover Boy, that incel has always been within him, but it's louder now. From the R. Kelly sample, the Meg Thee Stallion diss, Halle Berry slime cover, to now coming at Rihanna and Esperanza Spalding, he's lost it. I agree. And I did not listen to this whole album. I'm not going to give it not one more stream or spin. It's a wrap. I'm done. Like, I'm done hearing about Drake. This album will be number 1. It will do a lot of streaming and people act like it's great. But honestly, he's just a popular artist. And we see it with our artists. Like, you can see Taylor Swift. Like, I know when Taylor Swift is on fire and I know when she is on mute. And there are periods where Taylor is doing some great stuff and there's moments where she's just annoying. And I feel like right now Taylor Swift is overexposed. I think Drake is overexposed. I think we're getting way too much about these people to the point where they annoy us and we're tired of them. I can appreciate that. I know there were times where Beyoncé was overexposed. Y'all remember those moments, which is why Beyoncé took a step back because she recognized that if she remained overexposed in that type of way, folks would get tired of her and it would impact her creativity, and that's why she retreated. I can appreciate why Beyonce does not do 1,000 interviews and do all of that, because you know why? And I can even appreciate Rihanna. Rihanna doesn't do that many. She does a couple of more red carpet appearances than Beyonce, but I think it's about preserving the art, the craft, and also preserving themselves for their fans. Because we're having 1,000 conversations about Taylor Swift, and none of it has to do with her music or any of her art. We're having a ton of conversations right now about Drake, and I'm not hearing much about the music. He's getting into it with Joe Budden. And let me just say this. Joe Budden's been trash, always trash. But the funny part about them two getting at each other is, once again, like Charlamagne the God in him, a trash can and a dumpster are having a fight. Both are trash. One's a dumpster and one is a bag. Clearly, Joe Budden is a trash bag. And clearly, Drake is a dumpster. And Drake is a dumpster because he has more money, clout, and influence. And pump it up. He's a trash bag. Both of them are trash. But sometimes points can be made. And so some of the critiques I'm hearing about Drake from people like Joe Budden and Charlamagne the God proves that a broken clock is right twice a day. That these critiques they had about Drake were accurate. The problem is, because people don't like their asses either, nobody wanted to hear it. But I'm here to tell you, because since y'all love me and y'all know I'm not a trash bag, baby, I'm a Tiffany jewelry box. The reason why you all like me, the Tiffany jewelry box, is because of the fact that I'm not trash, but I can make these points as well. And what I'm here to tell you all is Drake's a problem. Drake's been a problem. And I think that this break that he's speaking about, he says he's going to go on a music hiatus because he's got stomach problems, apparently. Now, I'm like, is this because of what you did? That little nip tuck you was doing there? See, men be doing stuff to their body too. Them little fake abs you put in, that little stuff you did with your body. Is that why you having a stomach issue? Because, you know, there was some little nip tucking that was going on over there. There's a lot of men doing that. Y'all be out here talking about women. Men be doing nip tuck too. Men be playing around and stuff. Ain't no judgment. I'm just saying, we don't talk enough about men in Botox or men in surgery and men doing BBL. Well, they don't do BBL. They had their own little stuff they be doing with the body and stuff. And I wonder if that's connected to the stomach issue. But apparently, he's going to be taking a music hiatus to focus on his health, which is good. I want him to focus on his physical health and his mental health. And also his fucking mouth. Leave black women alone. Grow the fuck up. And that's all I have for Drake. So, in other news, been watching a little bit of TV, falling in love with Baddies East. Baddies East is good. I've been watching it on Zeus, and it's been doing what it needs to do. Contrary to popular belief, I know y'all thought it was going to be a shit show. It is. But they are really having a good time. Like, I'm enjoying the drama. It's very juicy, very meaty. It tastes like a good steak. And I'm appreciating it. Love and Hip Hop. So Love and Hip Hop Atlanta is done for this season. They wrapped up their season about 2 weeks ago. But Love and Hip Hop Miami, oh baby, it is spicy. There's like 4 more episodes left, and the show is heating up in the right temperature. So basically, Amara Negra found out what we already knew about Safari Samuels, you know, Nicki's ex boyfriend, Erica Mena's ex-husband. This man's gotten around. He is dating Amara Negra. Based on the last episode, looked like they broke up. It's apparent that Amara Negra is finding out that Safari is trash. Now, the rest of us in America already knew this was going to happen, but it seems as though she was hoping that, I guess, there was going to be a connection because they were, you know, island folk. I don't know. But she realizing that he's a piece of shit and she is breaking it off with him. Thank God she didn't have any babies by him. Thank goodness that didn't go down. But the rest of this season seems to be firing up, though, because there is also the situation going on with Shay Johnson. She's dating a guy named Fabo, who is a musician. My husband listens to him. Apparently he makes fuckboy music, but his name is Fabio or Fabo, Fabu or Fabo or whatever, Fabian or something like that. Well, anyway, he's like a musician, like an indie artist or something, a black artist, and people like his music apparently. He is dating Shay. They have a baby. They're not married yet, but Shay wants to be married with him within a year. He's disrespecting the mother, so that's a full stop. And there's some issues between the mother and him and everything like that. I've been following the drama and trying to see how that's going to iron out, because she has a brother who used to date Amara La Negra. Yes, Amara La Negra has definitely had her run-ins on the show with romance. But apparently the brother does not like him, and now the brother wants to get in the situation and, apparently fight him. I'm not saying I want to see the fight, but I'm curious about what's going on there. So she has a brother. His name is MJ. And MJ is the one who is on the show. She has another brother named Joe, but MJ is the one that is on the show that was dating Amara La Negra. They've been broken up and they've moved on, but the show is getting spicy nonetheless. Trina's on the show. The debauchery continues. It's been fun. So I'm looking forward to the rest of this week. I'm relaxing on Indigenous Peoples Day. I wonder how gentrifiers are celebrating it. Like, are they buying more property in Philly? Like, are they buying up more land to celebrate this day? Or are they going to stop being colonizers? I don't know. But I'm enjoying the day. I'm relaxing. I'm teaching. I got to teach on Monday, of course. But outside of that, I'm excited about the events coming up. I am going to be having an in-person conversation with Tony Wallington, who is the superintendent for the school district of Philadelphia. I'm going to be in conversation with him at an exclusive event for PABJ later this week. My birthday's coming. There's some other big announcements coming this week that I can't announce exactly at this moment. But I'm super excited. But one thing I will tell you is, if you are interested, the PABJ Gala is going to be a month away. It is going to be on Saturday, November 11th at the Museum of the American Revolution from 6 to 9. Now, I'll tell you this little secret. Tickets will go on sale later this week. However, tickets are on sale now. If you go to thepabj.org, that's PABJ. THEPABJ.org. 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 If you go to the website right now, before anybody else knows, if you check our website right now, there is on the front of the site a link to buy tickets. If you are not a PABJ member, the tickets are $175 per person. But let me tell you about those tickets. All of the proceeds go to support the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, which is a 501c nonprofit, and it will go to support the work that we're doing. I am, of course, the proud president of the organization. And the coolest thing also as well is, you want to know what's going to happen? You're going to see wonderful honorees, surprise guests. Our MC for the event is super dope. Y'all can't wait to find out very soon. And we're going to have an open bar. We're going to have lots of food, great catering from Brule Catering. And we have 2 liquor sponsors, Tito's Vodka and Uncle Nearest Whiskey. Tito's handmade vodka and Uncle Nearest Whiskey are super dope. If you don't know anything about Uncle Nearest Whiskey and you want to try them for the first time, let this be the event where you get to have specially crafted cocktails at the event open bar. There's a party from 6 to 10. It's going down. Please, please, please get your tickets, because they're going to sell out fast, y'all. So I just want y'all to know, these tickets are about to sell out fast. So take full advantage of getting yours right away. And that is everything for me. I'm looking forward to 32 this week. I'm looking forward to all the surprises and shenanigans. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.